All right, we are live, Joe. And let's just double check our feed here. Should be. Yep. Goodness. All right, hey Jolene.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on again today, doing our thing.
Oh my gosh, as always, there's no place I'd rather be. I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah, same. All right, so today, for those people who are tuning in to watch, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. We know there's a lot going on today, in the last, few days. And we talked about it, we thought about it, and we were a little hesitant to kind of like do something today, and kind of it feels a little like, God, like there's so much going on. But Joe and I started Whine and Whine night together, just us hanging out, getting together to talk about things, and kind of just like having open conversations and honest conversations and talking about how we feel. And that's how Whine and Whine started. And so we thought conversation's important. We should continue that today. Thank you.
And I feel like you've probably heard the same kind of thing. I mean, I participated in Blackout Tuesday, and I agree with that message. But also the addendum to that was the conversation shouldn't stop and work shouldn't stop. So just to make that clear, we're not meeting on Whine and Whine Wednesday to promote ourselves. We're here to continue the conversation, which we believe in.
Absolutely. And usually what we do like to do is, have it really fun and exciting. And we start off with like a dance time. In lieu of the dance today, we'd like to do a moment of silence to, pay respects to George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and the many, many innocent lives that, have been lost. So if you could all join us for 30 seconds of silence, please. Thank you so much, and thank you again for joining us. Today, I'm very, very, very excited to have a really good friend, old college roommate, amazing, incredible artist, unofficial film critic, incredible dancer, amazing person, hilarious personality, really good cook, but even better at cleaning up after dirty roommates. Like, this guy is amazing. Tory Smith, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys so much. I do not cook.
Okay, I just remember you cleaning up after Alec, that's all. So I just assumed in my mind, I was like, I feel like he had to cook at some point. We all took turns. Oh no, did you freeze?
Did he freeze?
Oh, there you are.
He froze for me, yeah.
No, he's back.
Oh, now we can't hear you, Tori. Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You can hear me now.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to make this a technical thing. Should I mute my Skype or my YouTube?
Mute your YouTube, not your Skype.
Yeah.
Mute my YouTube. Gotcha. Okay.
There we go. That's what it was. Amazing. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Now that we've clarified tech issues and that you don't cook, apparently, that my memory is horrible, but we know this.
Well, no, and
I
for
can cook a great breakfast. I can do that.
Yeah.
well, no, and I'm just meeting you, Tor, which this is so exciting for me because I've heard so much about you. And for the audience who won't know, I mean, they'll know your work, but they don't know you personally. So you and Luis go way back, right?
Way back to college. We were roommates for 2-3 years, I believe, in college, and then we were also actors within the theater department. So
Holy
we act
crap.
together, we room together, we party together, and we continue to be in each other's lives, which I think is so vital as you get older. You know, you try to keep those people that you found that special connection with, and you make the effort to keep them in your lives. And we do that. He will call me and say, hey, let's meet up. Let's see each other. So I adore him dearly.
He's so good about that, and that's actually wonderful to hear. I'm gonna need to know, what was Luis like in college?
Oh Lord.
What was Luis like in college?
Yeah.
Oh God. Funny. A freckled ginger.
So very different from now. Okay.
There's so much that he still represents from that time.
Mm-hmm.
But he is completely authentically himself now, and I find that to be quite inspiring, especially meeting his family and seeing that displayed in an intimate way. You know, his mother came, spent the night with us, and she was so tremendously lovely.
I love
he's just
that.
grown to be such a great young man. So.
Tory, stop it.
Well,
What he's not telling you is college was crazy and we had a lot of fun. Cabaret was nuts.
Oh my God.
Remember Cabaret?
Cabaret was nuts and interesting and controversial. We also watched Four Girls in a Cup. We made a lot of reaction videos.
Oh my God, yes, we did.
Wait,
we totally
Four Girls?
No,
I'm
it
aware of
was two
girls.
it was
What am
two it was 2 girls, 1 cup, and 4 girls finger paint. And Tory,
Okay.
it's a trilogy. It's a whole thing. And Tory's commentary is hilarious. It's so funny. He's just I might have to play it. I might have to do that. But yeah, that was.
Oh, I've only known him for 5 minutes, and I can imagine.
Yeah, it was nuts. What he's also failing to tell you is that Tory to me was hugely, hugely inspiring. I think one of the things that Tory, just talked about me being authentically myself is during college I was closeted, and I actually wish that I had been out partially just so that I feel like our relationship might have been different. Like our friendship would have been on my end a little bit. I would have been more authentically myself, and I don't know. It could have been not that it wasn't amazing, but I think that I would be very interested to know, like, what if I hadn't been holding something back, like what that might have looked like. But Tory was so inspiring to me. He was always so authentically himself. He didn't give 2 fucks what everybody thought. And he, just as a person, as a gay man, as an out and proud gay man, and it is, let's acknowledge as well, it is Pride Month. So
Yes.
that's also, exciting. But as an out and open gay man, he was inspiring. As an artist, he's incredibly inspiring. I've always been fascinated by his work, by his mind. Even when I mentioned he's, an unofficial film critic. One of my favorite things every year around Oscar season is he posts these like long ass posts about like what his top films are and like top performances. He's doing this challenge on Instagram right now, like a monthly thing. Like every day he posts something about like, this movie changed my life, or this, I hated this movie, but it was from a director. It's so much fun. If you have the chance, you have to follow him on Instagram. He's
I'm doing it. I'm fixing this right now because I feel so ashamed. I should have been following you before we met. I'm gonna fix it right now.
If do what Jolene is doing. She's leading by example. Please follow Tory right now. I'll put it back. It's right here. It's at Tory. Is it Devon or Devon?
Tory Devon Smith.
Devon Smith. Tory Devon Smith.
And I think just everyone needs to just go follow this guy right now, guys.
Thirst traps are
Come
real, people.
On. Yeah. Can you, Tory, just next to each other, just look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, come on.
Amazing.
I don't even want to show myself again after this. I'm just going to keep this here.
Well, here, since we're showing some stuff, I'd love to share a little bit more from Tory. And that's a great frame. You froze really happy for a second, but like, I want to share a little bit more about Tory, at least on his acting side. So if you will join me, you two, if you want to unmute your streams real quick. I am gonna play a little something. If it'll play, 1 second.
Oh, well, aren't you both cute with the aprons? This place, my gosh, very aesthetic. Got a real, like, kids as adults kind of vibe. Like, we don't know how to do business, but...
Did that play with sound? Oh no, how do I fix that? Hold please. I'm going to go like this, make you really small. There we go. Much better. Let's try that again. So that's from a little clip. Oh no! Hold please. God damn it.
Oh, well, aren't you both cute with the aprons? This place, my gosh, very aesthetic. Got a real, like, kids as adults kind of vibe.
Is there
like,
sound
we don't know
now?
how to do business, but here's what we think it would look like kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And this is from The Get Down, which is on Netflix.
Oh,
20.
so good.
20. Jolene, here's your 20 and your envelope.
Envelope again? Alright. Why you get an envelope?
Alright, Disney little shirt. $10 each.
Yo! Why we only getting 10?
Cause you small and ugly. And him, he just plain weird, ain't he?
You think I'm weird? That's very weird that you think I'm weird. Yo, my brothers ain't weird.
Your brother's motherfucking Mork and an afro and you just like that midget nigga tattoo from TV. It's a play.
And you, I'm about to tattoo my size 8 up your ass if you don't give us what the fuck you owe us. You.
Child, you best take care of this.
What?
And this is one of my favorites. I think it's a recent one. It's from The Coop, and we'll talk about it. But this one's fucking hysterical.
Baby, I'll never forgive you. I'll never forget you. Is what I meant to say. Okay, perfect. That was convincing.
This is from Zac and Mia on Hulu. I mean, this guy is working.
Yeah, man.
Benny, when can I get in this thing?
Go call your parents, man. Come on, go.
Jenny, what's going on in there?
Zac has a cold. Could easily turn into
It's not my
pneumonia.
fault.
Mama. Zac made a bad choice. You are not to blame.
But I could have said no.
Zac's in good hands. Mia.
Just promise me that you'll stay in there until it gets better.
Mia.
Oh, that look. Just looking out. And then this one, just it is Pride Month, so I have to do this
Kara.
one.
We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from
this. Wow.
So that is Tory Smith.
So good though, so good.
That's so sweet. That's so sweet.
No, man, it's. I was looking forward to watching these tonight through kind of Luis's intro to you. You've got such range, which I'm sure you know already, but it's really impressive.
That is so sweet. I'm fortunate to have gotten what I've gotten. I think we all know how intense the industry is, and it's still such a struggle. It's still such a struggle, and it's quite difficult to really try to basically make your career consistent. That's been the real challenge. And what I want, and what we all want from our careers is longevity, and that's what I'm truly searching for. Yeah.
Well, amazing. Go ahead, Luis. Go.
Oh no, I mean I was gonna say some things you didn't see, obviously were his works in theater. I mean I had the privilege of watching Tory, not just in film and TV, but also in his theater career. And Tory, I'd love to talk to you. I mean, as someone who has done both, do you have a preference? What do you love? Talk to me about theater versus the screen.
Ooh, that's really interesting. I mean, for me, because my genesis of acting comes from the stage, I am much more comfortable in theater, and it's just learning film to me is just sort of a different practice. John Malkovich said something really interesting about sort of stage acting and film acting. He said stage acting is sort of like it's like a tidal wave, and that wave is sort of the acting, the dialogue, connecting with the audience. You know what I mean? There's such a huge force in that. But film, you only need to sort of collect a few seconds of goodness, and it's not immediate. You can do it over. You know what I mean? I like the practice of both to a certain degree. Theater will always be, I think, my first love, mainly because it's really the actor's medium. I think when it comes to film, it's not the actor's medium. It's the editor's medium. It's the director's medium. You really are, as an actor, just one piece of the puzzle that will be put together later. When you're an actor on stage, you're very much in charge, and things are, in a sense, assisting you. But it's interesting when I now have a different perspective when it comes to criticizing acting in film. I'm just like, well, that actor didn't choose that take. I've been in things where I'm just like, why did they choose that take? Well, they chose that take for the lighting, or they chose that take for some specific reason outside of what you deemed worthy. Even though I've been sort of obsessed with like the Oscars and awards and whatnot, mainly I've been obsessed with the Oscars because it introduced me to a world of film I didn't know anything about. It was 1996, I think, and I was watching, I think it was The English Patient that won Best Picture that year, and I was a little boy watching it thinking, what is this world? But it introduced me to the canon of American cinema. And when you come to think of it, you really can't compare art for a specific number of reasons. Everything is so different in terms of genre and experience. I sometimes now can recognize an actor, and if they're in a scene and they're an actor that I love, I can tell, like, the director could have yelled at you, something's up here. I can sort of recognize things now on sort of the inside. But I must say, I do prefer theater. There is nothing like performing in front of an audience. I feel too, and not to be sort of judgmental, but I feel an actor is really worth their salt once they know that they can hold a room. You can hold a room. You can hold if you can hold that stage, in that character with that audience in the palm of your hands. That's the power that an actor, I think, truly has, and it's quite beautiful. And also, it's interesting with film, especially at my specific level. I'm not always dealing with really complex, complicated work, and there's also such a business side to it. But in theater, more than likely, you're dealing with, really dense material that's going to tear your soul apart. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
It totally makes sense, and thank you for sharing that. First of all, and it's always so interesting to hear, an actor of your caliber talk about the stage versus film. Are there playwrights? Like, I love what you said about the Oscars and the English Patient introducing you to things. Is there a playwright or a certain play that was your gateway into stage?
Certain play that was my gateway into stage. No, well, I was mostly inspired by musicals. I remember I was a kid and I went on a field trip to my, what would be my future high school, Stockdale High School in Bakersfield, California. I saw the high school production of Annie, and I was enamored. Musical theater played a huge part in my influence, and I got more into plays once I hit junior high. We were doing sort of these unknown small plays, and then high school was much more of an in-depth sensibility into the realm of plays. I was in You Can't Take It With You. We were going to do Lilies of the Field my senior year, which basically introduced me to Sidney Poitier, because he won his Oscar for that performance, and there's a play. And I started to do much more sort of research on my own because I was so sort of attracted to it. And then I went to the California State Summer School of the Arts in 2003. I went to Cal Arts, which is a summer program for artists, actors, dancers, whatnot. It's an iconic, tremendous program. And to me, along with the help of my drama teacher, Miss C.J. Pope, recently retired, I love you! Along with that theater program, completely changed my perspective on acting. Usually when I was acting, it was very performative. I didn't feel anything. I was sort of a kid, and I just knew that I had this, I guess, natural ability to turn, to sort of, I guess, transform into another person, perhaps, or another world. But it was at that theater camp where I understood the emotive aspect of acting. Mm-hmm. We did certain practices and exercises, and I also saw The Graduate and Harold and Maude in one night. That changed my perspective on film. I paid attention to the entire film, the scope of it, the cinematography, the art direction, the costume designs, and listening more particularly to the dialogue of like The Graduate, which is such a brilliant screenplay. I don't know, I think I've just been sort of paying attention my whole life, developing my taste, and then LMU was just, I mean, being trained there has sort of been etched in my being, really. It was wonderful, and I was so happy because I applied to Juilliard because I thought I was somebody. I was like, I can go to Juilliard, y'all, because people telling me I'm talented and I'm winning festivals. I'm going to Juilliard, and I'm so actually quite happy that LMU accepted me. I got into their program. I mean, me and Louise, we were able to express ourselves as students like right away, even as freshmen. I mean, I auditioned for the lead, I think, in a play my freshman year. I think The Elephant Man. I don't know if I was really up for John Merrick, but I read for him. I was directing by my sophomore year. I did 15 productions at LMU.
15? Wow.
I was able to exercise. We did so much, and you could have the opportunity to do so much. And these very sort of strict programs, sometimes you're not allowed to act until your junior year, sort of on the main stage. I am so grateful for LMU that I got to exercise my instrument constantly and as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, amazing. I definitely feel super lucky to have gone to LMU as well, and I had a little bit of both worlds because it was the film department and then also the theater department, and it's funny because they were right across the street from one another, and nobody ever really connected, which was great. Not great, but it was crazy is what I meant to say, that they're like right across from one another, and nobody really just kind of like connected. But then finally it did, and trying to create that bridge between two art worlds, and I kind of had a foot in the door of each one of them, and I didn't actually get to do any theater until my sophomore year. I did see The Elephant Man. I forget who was in it, but one of the standout, and you kind of mentioned it right now, one of the standout moments for me in theater was Closer. as a spectator. I wasn't even in it, and Tory directed it, and it was. I remember we were rooming at the time, correct?
Yeah.
We were rooming together, and I just remember conversations with you, and just like your mind, even just now, listen. I think every time I hear you talk about the arts, and the arts are literally my favorite thing in this world. And like anytime I hear you talk about the arts, I get re-inspired and reignited all over again. It really is. It's such a pleasure to hear you talk about things, because it literally just like ignites this passion for it all over again, because your passion is so contagious. Pardon the word during a pandemic, but like it is a good kind of contagious. And the arts, I know, mean so much to all three of us. So yeah. I'm really glad that we got to do that.
I'm glad you guys got to do that. I was going to say real quick, what's kind of beautiful about it is it's, the thing that has brought us all here, this YouTube live. And it's kind of, it's fun, Tori. You would name off these plays and you'd name off these films, and you can kind of see each of us having our own reaction, our own memory to it. I mean, it's the common language, even if you don't know somebody that well. So thank you for talking us through that, walking us through that.
You mentioned, I love what you said about like how your perspective on like reviewing or critiquing somebody's performance in film has changed. And I love what you said about how you really feel like an actor has the audience in their hand. That's the power of an actor. When it comes to film, how do you see it nowadays? I mean, like, obviously, yes, the editor is the one who's making the decisions. The director is the one making the decisions. But what would you say, in your perspective, like makes an outstanding film or an outstanding performance? Like what to you is something like that?
My gosh. I think I was listening to Annette Bening at from an Actors Roundtable, and she was asked, what character what's your dream role? And she was just like, I don't know if that ever works out if you just want to play a role, because it takes a community of people with you. So I think with film, it's such a communicative effort, and it's so many different things coming together to help create that performance. So and all of it colliding sort of wonderfully together. I think a lot of it too is sort of the depth of intention you have. Also having something to possibly say. You have to have a reason behind why you're expressing this, no matter how people will take it. That's not your responsibility. I think what makes a great film or even television series is sort of attention to detail. And to be honest, I think we can all agree it starts with the goddamn writing. Writing is so important, and it affects me even as I go through auditioning. Sometimes I will get so down on myself, because we all have those moments where we either have an audition or we don't connect with the material. We're like, why don't I connect with this? Because to be honest, if you're trying to get a job as an actor, no matter what the material is, you need to make it work. That's why you get paid. You know what I mean? But there's something I can't get over if it's not written well. If you don't allow room and access for various emotions to sort of bleed through in your work. I remember when I had an audition, and this was 2016, 2015. I had an audition for Moonlight to play Chiron. And I remember reading that script. And though, honestly, when I read the script, I thought, that's lovely. But when I actually had to do the audition, there was just so much room the screenwriter left for creation. And I remember really liking that audition. There was a lot of room left. And now that I'm trying to dip my toes into screenwriting for a project that I'm working on, I'm now even paying attention more so to how you do that, because to craft a script I don't know, Luis wrote a fantastic script, and I was so impressed with him, because I think anybody who writes a script, I think it is hard, and thank God for Luis, he wrote a really good script, which is even harder, because you gotta have taste and a vision.
That means a lot coming from you, needless to say.
I thought it was okay, Luis. I thought you did all right.
You're not being lauded here, Jolene.
I just gotta make sure your ego doesn't get too big, you know?
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Well, thank you. That means a lot. It's coming from you. Like that really is a compliment. And I know Jolene thinks exactly the same way that you do.
I do. He said it so much better than I could have, so I had to crack a joke. But no, man, I agree. To write a script, sometimes I think about writing a script, and then I'm like, why am I deluding myself today? So if both of you guys have written, that's amazing.
Well, I don't know if I've written. I'm attempting to. I'm also attempting to sort of self-teach myself. I also have people who are writers. And one of my best friends, Laura C., who we went to school with, she actually sent me some scripts to read. Scripts that break that typical mold of how a script should be written, breaking the rules of script writing. And she sent me Shame by Steve McQueen. So reading other scripts has been so inspiring to me as well.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it? Can't you just? I was surprised when you can actually tell good writing from bad writing. I love what you said about that it starts with the writing. I had always thought when I was younger, like, well, how can you tell? You can't really tell till it's finished. You can tell.
Yep.
You can tell. Like the opening scene, you're like, okay. Well. So I think reading scripts is such an important thing, just to see where your taste is, because yes, it's subjective, but there is also, a heartbeat to a script that you can start to hear in the writing. So yeah, I totally agree with what you said.
Yeah. And there are, I think too what I'm understanding, Martin Scorsese.
I say Scorsese, but I'm a hillbilly, so I don't know.
I call him Marty. We're on a first name basis.
So, yeah, Marty S.
As he sips his wine.
Exactly.
I know Marty.
I know. Marty? Yeah, Marty.
Marty's great.
Marty, get over here. We're talking about you. Get over here.
Come on, Marty. Such a wallflower, that Marty. Jeez.
He said he made those controversial remarks about the tentpole films of comic book movies and Marvel, and saying that they're like attractions at a theme park or whatever. And I'm like, well, also too, I think if you're in the industry of Hollywood, you have to understand that there's a place for a lot of different types of entertainment, and there's a specific way to write that script. There's a specific way to write a multi-cam comedy pilot. There's a specific way to write a dramedy that will end up on a more, I want to say, more open network, like a Netflix or HBO. Like, there's specific ways. You know what I mean? And I don't think you should close yourself off to thinking that something is more sophisticated than something else.
No, it's a storytelling style as well, right? Can you imagine Iron Man written by Scorsese?
No!
There's a reason you can't imagine that.
And Iron Man's great. Iron Man's great. Since we're talking about storytellers and screenwriters, and it is Pride Month, Larry Kramer recently passed away, and he was an incredible American playwright, and also LGBTQ part of the community, an activist, AIDS activist. The Normal Heart. He wrote a controversial the Faggots, and I wanted to talk to we talked about Martin Scorsese and all these people, and you mentioned different levels of entertainment, and I've always thought even movies like Iron Man. I mean, I cried. I'll admit it. I cried during both parts of the last Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame. Like literally crying. Like I think it's moving, and I think you can have lessons taught through entertainment. I mean, like look at all these Disney. Well, I was gonna say look at all these Disney movies teaching kids little things, but it's like that can be controversial in and of itself because there's a lot of older schools of thought, and then as far as it comes to actually racism and how women are seen and immigrants and all that stuff, so that can go into it. But like inspiring kids now with movies like Moana and Coco and like all these movies that it's like, yeah, at the end of the day they're cartoons, but they're not a Scorsese movie, but they're still doing something to move hearts and teach lessons. And I think that's the power of art in all its forms. What do you feel is the place of the artist in this world? Especially in we can talk about obviously in moments like this.
Yeah.
And I know that was a huge pivot, and I should have been like, disclaimer or something, but like...
Yeah, geez, you lulled him into like some sense of security with Disney,
Yeah.
and then you're like, bam, deep
Bam,
punch.
what's the responsibility of the artist? Go.
Talk about it all and never get hired again.
Yeah.
I'll hire you.
No.
I will totally hire you.
I was my agents, who are fantastic, and there's several of them who work as a team, and they all called me individually, and we were talking about the effects of the virus and how we were all doing. And it's interesting because I always question this, and please, you can disagree with me, when people say that film or some acting or actor, actress has changed your life. And it's interesting when I think about that, because when I think about changing someone's life or changing mankind of some sort, I always think of like some scientific experiment or some tool, like the car or the iPhone. But perhaps changing how someone views the world is quite important. And I think that does change lives. And the thing is, once we got into sort of the crux of this virus, this pandemic, everybody went to movies and TV shows first. What we do. We added we added an escape. We added, sort of imagination to people's lives. I mean, even recently with recent events that have been happening that have been affecting us all, I even had to take a pause and delve away into a different world. And that's what we do. We provide that. This has really pronounced that for me in terms of what we do and how it's important in times of difficulty and confliction.
Well, yeah, and if you don't mind expanding on that a little bit, I mean, I assume that this has hit you. It's going to have hit you differently than it would have hit Luis and I. I mean, I know we're all human. We're being hit by what's going on. I don't know. I guess I don't know what my question is, and they're really just for you personally though. Like, what's kept you going through this time, or what's inspired you? Do you have certain artists or specific shows that, art that you turn to?
Art that I turn to, it's interesting. In these times, I've actually talked at length with a lot of friends, black and white alike, to hash out my feelings and my emotions and help sort of influence my perspective, but in a very sort of positive way.
I love that. I love that you said that. I personally include conversation as art. I think there's an argument to be made that there is an art to conversation, and it sounds like you're having great discussions.
Yeah, I believe I am, and what's happening right now has, in a sense, rightfully consumed us all. There's a nation and worldwide movement to fight and eradicate systematic racism, which I think is gravely important. Obama just said at his town hall, his virtual town hall, that racism is a plague amongst American society. And we are more than ever recognizing that. And there's been this eruption, this boiling point, in the name of George Floyd and how he died, and in the name of many black men and women who have died and met their demise on camera at the hands of the police. It is an issue. It needs to be taken care of now. And you have these peaceful protesters who are galvanizing their fellow citizens and their lawmakers and those in power to make change, immediate change, which I think is incredibly vital. My confliction with everything that's going on, however, is the fact that, there are droves of people out there in the streets protecting human rights, bringing attention to systematic racism, but at the same time sacrificing themselves in the midst of a very present pandemic. And that is worrisome for me. But then that's also the struggle of my confliction, though. That's why I have conversations with my friends. I take it upon myself to pause within myself, ask myself about my logic. Think against it. I watch news. I watch one source. I question myself. I even research like clinical psychologists to get a little bit deeper into sort of the psyche of how society works. I mean, right now I'm researching James Baldwin for a script I'd like to write about him, where I play him, and he's such a tremendous thinker, such a prophet, and he says so much. He delves into the psyche of racism in a way that really has broadened my perspective. If anything, it's made me a bit, I want to say, sort of sympathetic. Right now too, and I wanted to bring this up because social media is sort of this convoluted virtual territory of confliction. There's so many people out there telling other groups of people what to do, how to think, what to read, what to tell your families and friends, and they will block. If you don't think exactly the way that they think, you will be, in a sense, eradicated from their lives. I think we all can somewhat take a pause, especially with social media. I mean, I really had to take myself away because it can feel, in a sense, unnerving. It can feel accusatory. I think it's important to really consider your specific judgment of others. I don't think any of us want to ostracize the people in our army who we're all helping to fight against this. I also want people to realize, like, hey, we're in the middle of this pandemic. We need to be careful. We are putting people at risk. We're putting the public at risk of you being out there. But also, it's needed. So it's a very, very sort of conflicting time.
Yeah.
And I of course pray for solace and peace and understanding at a time like this. But I'm also going to reserve the need to tell people how to think and what to do. People's hearts are in the right place. And, I played John Lewis, a tremendous civil rights activist, in a play called Martin Duty Calls. And I read his memoir, Walking in the Wind, which is a memoir on the civil rights movement. And in that very, very long book, it was interesting to me because to sort of really consider and think about, wow, there were so many unsung heroes of the civil rights movement, mothers, nurses, nuns, priests, everyday working Black Americans, white Americans, students, Asian Americans that all came together. They used their power, their force to make things happen and to change. I think sometimes with the influx of social media, there can be a sense of self-indulgence when it comes to something like this. So I truly consider where I am mentally, keeping myself sane, and reaching out to those who will understand me in a safe space, you know. Social media can be a place where you can be vilified if you have a conflicting thought, and especially right now, tempers are high.
Yeah.
And with reason. But I would caution that we should remain careful and open and kind.
Sorry, what was the last word?
Kind.
Kind. Yeah, I agree. I think that was
100%.
Yeah, that was beautifully put. And we kind of talked about this before, and there's so much to talk about because there are so many. It's connected to so many things, and I think it's a testament. This is what we talked about. It's a testament to how deeply interwoven the systemic racism is into the fabric of this country. And so you could pull at all the different threads, and you can talk about all the different, the economic, sociological, philosophical, religious, all kinds of different ways, and pick it apart and debate about it. But at the end of the day, the original fabric of this country should be on just mutual respect, just human lives and respect for human lives.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Something that I've been wrestling with over and over again is yes, let's think about it. Yes, let's figure it out. However, something that's very clear to me is that figuring it out and digging into the philosophy of it and whatever, that's like, I honestly feel like that's right now in this moment a luxury afforded to white people. I mean, at least that's how it feels. Like I don't, I was talking to somebody about this today because they're like, oh, I need to figure out where I stand on this and that. And for me, it was, and they were thinking about whether they wanted to go to the protest. And more specifically, it was like, well, if the pandemic weren't a thing, would I be going to protest? Why or why not? And I was like, well, okay, it depends on how you feel about protests, but also, I don't know. I mean, do you support that idea or not? Do you support the idea of equality? Do you think this is an issue worth speaking up about? If so, then yes, go to the protest and figure out the nuance of it later, I think, Yeah. And I just mean, as far as making a choice about, okay, what do I support and what, like, it seems to me that Black people don't have that luxury of, okay, what do I support and why? It's like, it's pretty clear. Right. Yeah. I mean, hopefully I'm making sense. But it just keeps happening where people are still kind of mulling it over and like, oh, do I support? Do I not? I'm like, I don't know what the hesitation is. And I'm not talking about posting a black square on social media or anything like that. Just knowing where you stand, I think, is important. I don't really. So hopefully that makes sense.
No, I think that does make sense. I think there are plenty of people, and I'd imagine a lot of your listeners and you yourselves are involved with people who are incredibly liberal-minded. And if they do have social medias, which I'm sure they do, there are tons and tons of suggestions and links on how to support, on how to basically do your activism from home.
And you're right. It's not just suggestions. Sometimes it's like you're either with us or you're against us. This is what you should be doing, or you're doing nothing. Some of it's like that.
That sort of pressure, I think, isn't as helpful.
I agree.
I do think it is important. But I think it's also. Like I guess what I was saying was taking the time within yourself, do your own, get off of social media, because that can really sort of be all-consuming and conflict you. I mean, even if it's your quest to either gather information or your quest to share information, it can be incessant and all-consuming. I mean, people who are either on there all the time looking at tons and tons of perspectives, or people who are posting tons and tons and tons constantly. I don't know how, sometimes I think maybe how you want to affect can be lost, and it can, in a sense, be a little bit unhealthy. I think also, too, I do want to bring this point up that our lives have shifted so dramatically because of COVID and this pandemic that to deny the fact that the effects of that is also a huge factor in why people are, in a sense, disregarding the pandemic and going out in the streets so close together. And I think we also have to recognize how COVID has shifted our entire lives, and many people might be at home alone, filled with to the brim of really detrimental anxiety. I mean, this is unprecedented, what has happened to us with this pandemic. It is something none of us truly has ever really been through. Everything is unknown. We don't know how we will return. And so, you know, I don't want to say that this fervor in terms of fighting systematic racism is a catalyst, but you cannot deny the fact that people have been cooped up and are also angry about that. They are angry about their lives being completely changed. I mean, I had a friend who was going to be in a major motion picture, you know, and that's a huge thing for an actor. And he's a young, talented, gay.
Lost you for a second.
Black man.
Oh. Coming back slowly.
Tory.
Is gone. I can't imagine what people are feeling. And a lot of the outrage that we are seeing now is also the effects of that.
No, you're exactly right, and I feel like we're really aligned. You're just saying what I was attempting to say much better than I said it. And I do actually, I think I underestimate the effect of the virus on all of this and what a pressure cooker it is. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, certainly people also have, because so many are unemployed. And I mean, another point to that is the virus is also affecting people disproportionately depending on socioeconomic and racial, factors. People of color are being affected differently. And I certainly think, obviously, that has, that on top of it is like, all right, like, already there's systemic racism. Now there's systemic racism within a global pandemic. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's so many things. And I think Jolene and Tori, you both again brought it up about, people get kind of confused as to like, well, how do I feel? Because it's so complicated and there's so many things. And we do, I think, have to boil it back down to the very, very basic, kind of like how we're all human beings, but broken down into molecules and whatever, like break it down to the bare bones and the basics. And at the end of the day, if you're just a respectful person to humans, humankind, human lives, and just are decent, that's what we have to focus on. We have to focus on just being decent human beings. And then it gets complicated and whatever from there. But like, if we just try to remind ourselves to go back to that,
Well, I think that's beautifully said. And then I really, like, Tori, you've really got me thinking, because you clearly have the passion of an artist, but you talk like a scientist. You're like, let's consider all these other, factors that are kind of woven into the situation and causing the whole thing. I don't know. I just think that's a really wonderful thing you're able to do, because clearly not everybody is capable of that level of thought and analysis. So I really appreciate that.
Well, and also I think a huge part of it too is just like, I've been black my whole life, dealing with racism my whole life to a certain degree.
You've been black your whole life?
Not part of it.
Not just.
I think so. I was Brazilian,
Damn.
I was Australian now. So, the effects of, sort of the effects of racism and systematic racism has definitely had an effect on my life. I mean, I'm a product of the foster care system.
You are? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a foster kid, and I remember going through 8 to 10 homes. Well, I remember 8. The system, my social worker when I was a kid said I went through 10. I don't remember that many. And I also have a twin sister who endured that as well. Endured the system, and we were separated. She is tremendous and very funny. And she gave birth to my beautiful niece Ayana, who's 8 years old, and I bought her a huge card.
Oh my God.
It's her. I got it from, I don't know, I got it online. But to see how our lives have been affected by that, you know, my legacy, my lineage is erased. I don't know sort of where I come from. You know what I mean? I think about that. And my empathy for my people runs deep of how much we have been through in this country, how we have been stifled when we've progressed, when we've progressed beyond what we've been enduring. And I have to say, you know, I think we're a beautiful people to still shepherd through it. We constantly do. We constantly work to progress ourselves and our mental. And I think to be Black in America is pretty inspiring to me.
Oh, to anyone that has half a brain and a whole heart. You know, good Lord. I cannot fathom sometimes the survival that you know, and all the stuff that you guys have had to endure. And I was I've fallen down so many rabbit holes of you know, even the subject of cultural appropriation, and how, like, for me, I'll just sit there sometimes and look at things and read things. I'm like, oh yeah, so my people, we're just blatantly ripping stuff off, and you know, like from Black culture and passing it off as our own. I don't even know if some, you know, some people mean to do that. Sometimes it's unintentional, but whatever. Yeah. It's completely unaware. For someone, I think people are finally, hopefully, starting to wake up to it. But clearly, you know, you're a people to admire, and you know, we're trying to be as cool as you guys. It just doesn't work as well. So I think it's clear.
Up cultural appropriation, because it's really, it's like I think there is a sense of a theft of a sense of culture from us, but it's like you've stifled us from benefiting from it. You know, because we all steal everything. Let's just, you know, sort of talk about artistically, music and of that nature. We all steal and take from everywhere and everything. It's the sense of, like, it's being stifled from Black people benefiting from what they created. It's interesting. I bring that up too because now I'm on TikTok, which is,
what, are we all on TikTok? I think Luis is like the last. He's not joined yet.
I just enjoy. I'm a consumer.
Oh. Wait, okay, keep going, but I have to find you on TikTok now, because I can't. I've got you on Instagram. I'm gonna find you.
I just lip sync. I just, like.
Me too. That's all I do. But yeah.
But, you know, when I think about the controversy over the young Black woman who made up the Savage dance, and then the young white girls who took that dance, they're benefiting from it. You know.
Oh,
they're benefiting off of it, and there had to be a fight. There had to be a collective fight to protect this young, beautiful Black woman who made up the dance of the year. I mean, come on. It's everywhere. It was created by that Black woman. That is the egregious theft that I think makes, I'm going to say it, Black people angry. Like,
well, of course. I mean, freaking, of course. And to me, I mean, this is going to sound funny. I don't mean it to, but it's like, really, are we all that surprised? Like, have you seen the dance? It's freaking cool. You think a white folk came up with it, you know, like, come on. Like, it's just me, like, wake up to that. And it is. I mean, it's. I don't know the intentions of the people. I don't know if they were like, oh, I know what I'll do today is steal this from that. But it is theft, you know, intentional, unintentional, whatever. I think that's kind of beside the point. Everything you said is exactly right.
Yeah. And it's also, you know, this is a completely new generation. And I think there's hope, of course, in the new generation, but they also probably think very differently when it comes to possibly cultural appropriation. They've grown up with it. So they maybe don't see the distinction. It's a very different world from possibly when we were younger. You know, we were I would say we were at the beginning of like the internet age. But I remember when that wasn't a thing. I remember when you had to wait till you get home to answer the phone.
Absolutely. And if I'm on the internet, don't try to make a phone call. I'm going to be real mad, you know? Yeah. So we all grew up with that transition.
And these young kids didn't. They are the internet age. They don't know anything but. Can you imagine? So, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to share something real quick.
Do it.
Damn it. It's not, oh, here we go.
I can't wait. Whatever it is. Wait, so Tory. What's your name on TikTok, Tory?
Is it Tory Smith? Is it Tory Devon Smith? I think Tory Devon Smith is everywhere.
Because it's just easy.
I mean, I would just be Tory Smith, but that football player.
I know. When I first Googled you, I was like, oh man, what? Who is
he? Takes all the Google space, so I had to include my middle name. I'm like, he's so amazing and talented.
Oh my God.
That didn't even
Tory Smith from me.
Why do I even bother being on camera? Look at this guy. This is what I'm your new biggest fan. Oh my God. I'm so excited.
And it's so silly. I just do it. It's just fun.
No, same. I am absolutely a millennial that's on there being like, I don't know. But it's so fun. I'm excited to see your stuff. And I know Luis is playing something, but so you were in a film, Hollywood French.
Yes.
I was too. And I'm wondering if it's the same Hollywood French.
What? Does it start Justin Kirk?
Yes. So we were in totally different parts of the movie, clearly.
What?
I know. I play a blonde bitch. That is the extent of my role. Which I can't wait to see what you do in it.
Shut up! I play Antonio. I'm one of Jennifer, who's our lead actress in the film. I'm a supporting role in that. I'm sort of part of her like theater group.
Oh, I can't wait. I haven't.
It's not been God.
Insane. Yeah, I'm such a small little part. I'm very, very
Doesn't
supportive.
matter. We're in a movie together.
I know. I was so excited. I've been holding on to it. I'm like, I'm not going to use up time, but now I'm using up time. I was very, very excited.
That makes me so happy.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah. So did you get that? Well, we'll talk about it later. Carry on, Luis. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I already tried to play it. It was all that noise and whatever. I was trying to play the AOL sound just for nostalgia's sake, and it just backfired completely.
The AIM, like the dial-up.
Welcome. You've got mail.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Which I still have an AOL. Do not judge me.
No judgment.
I mean, I judged him real hard just now. I judged real hard. That's like green bubble level right there. All right. Well, since we're at it, I do want to show a quick thing here.
Oh my God!
Is it gonna play sound? Oh, there we go.
Have my certainty, and on with that, I'll go to your last parish and the one before that. If necessary, I'll find a parent. Trust me, Father Flynn, I will.
You have no right to act on your own.
Oh my God!
You have taken vows. Obedience being one. You answer to us. You have no right to step outside the church.
I will step outside the church. If that's what needs to be done, though the door should shut behind me, I will do what needs to be done. Though I'm damned to hell. You should understand that, or you will mistake me. How did you give Donald Miller wine to drink?
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, that was Doubt.
Goodness.
I
love it. Are you rocking some ring lights? Is that why you look so well?
Yeah. I'm staying with friends in Venice, and they have this ring light, and I'm gonna buy one.
Dude.
Come on. It is just, well, it's like what I use for my self-tapes if I get one, and it's just like, oh, it does everything. It makes the body look better.
I was going to say, I feel like you did a real disservice to us by wearing a shirt on this product. I don't understand why that choice was made, but I'll try to get okay with it.
Aren't you sweet? I do declare.
Oh, man. I don't even know where to go from here. I mean,
I know. Where are we?
Like,
where are we?
Where? I mean, I think. I mean, I want to go back to something that Jolene pointed out, and it's funny because I was thinking the same thing, and I'm so glad she said it. But like, your mind being the mind of an artist, and also the scientific side of being able to see, things from different perspectives. And I want to tie that a little bit to a question from before about like the responsibility of the artist, and your beginnings from the stage, and kind of like tie it all together. Do you feel like who you are and how you view the world is impacted by the fact that you're an artist, and how so? And for those who aren't, well, let's just tackle that for now. I don't want to like blah.
I like your Russian nesting
my
doll.
My little Russian doll of,
yeah.
like. Well, last time, I mean, he had an amazing, by the way, like, that, like, turn the corner, segue, like, pivot question was a lot, but I knew I could ask it because he's fucking genius. If I'd asked anybody else that, they would have been like, what? That was brilliant. So I won't do the pivot again, but I'd love to get that.
Oh my God. I mean, the makeup of who I am as a person completely influences me as an actor. It's interesting, though. I learned substitution at that theater camp that I told you about, CISA, the California State Summer, yeah. And it's interesting. Up until that point, I never substituted my own experiences into acting. It was always an escape, and always a positive sort of escape. I learned more about sort of substituting what I've actually been through to make things much more authentic for myself much later in sort of my acting experience life. But you know what it took? It took therapy. And I went through, 4 months of intense therapy. And at the same time, I was living in a sober living, because now I'm clean and sober. So I had a lot going on in my life. But my therapist said something to me that I never realized and never took into account. He was just like, Tori, you had a traumatic childhood. And I was just like, oh, I did. And I don't see it that way, because it's interesting when I tell people, or I say to someone that I was a foster kid, and what that entails, because I'm knowing like, oh, that sort of entails a lot. That's not sort of a normal, or it shouldn't be sort of a normal way of how a kid progresses in a home. But I just didn't realize it was traumatic, because it was just my life. And I remember I was in 6th grade, and one of my friends in 6th grade said that her parents were getting a divorce, and she was quite sad about it. And I remember saying, well, you got both of them. Perspective. And I was just a kid. I didn't know, because I think divorce actually, and now it's interesting to me now, I actually think divorce, or losing a parent in some way, whether it be divorce or even death, is much more tremendously hard if you've never had them. I can't imagine, because I never had them, so I don't know what it's like to lose a parent through divorce or through death or through whatever happens. I actually think that's much worse than what I've actually experienced. So it's interesting. Yes, my life has definitely informed me much more as an actor. And it was Jim Holmes who gave me the best advice. He was our professor. He's also
That's right. He teaches at LMU. I freaking forget that. Sorry. I'm very excited.
He's in House of Fringe too.
Oh yes, I sat at a dinner table with him. A story for another time. Carry on. In the movie.
I was struggling. I went back home, and I was struggling, and I think I called Jim, and I was just sort of expressing my state at the time, and he said, he was just like, life will be your best acting school. That's been like the best advice. If anything, it's now like I've experienced so much of I don't want to say like darkness in my life. But there's a term in AA, which I'm not in, but I went through for a spell of hitting your bottom. I've had some significant bottoms in my life, and I've thought about that when I perform. It might be very normal to like y'all be like, yeah, well, yeah, Tory, duh. But I don't know. It took me some time to sort of like realize I can use myself. Therefore, I can be much more authentic and honest as an actor. I'm always searching to be as honest as I can be still. I don't think that's a lesson we will ever never ever like really learn. We'll always be searching for the truth constantly as actors, which is interesting, especially in film, because film is like right here, and you have to be. You can't use anything but here. You have to feel it. That's why I always think theater is easier, because you can use your body to tell that story. Film is a different concentration. But yes, my life has completely informed me as an actor.
I must point out here that I must receive an Academy Award for not breaking character.
Bottoms, the bottoms thing.
Bottoms. When you said you've been through so many significant bottoms, I literally was just like, like, you know the scene in The Last Crusade or whatever, the guy's face melts away. That was like literally my face. Like,
I want to give you. I will sculpt you an award and a trophy to give you, because I'll tell you what happened to me. I'm so into what he's saying. And then what he said was, I've had a lot of bottoms in my life. And he's looking off as if he's like thinking about the bottoms. And my eyes went right over. I could see Luis. I was like, man, he is going to break.
Chad just said, he quoted, I've had some significant bottoms in my life. And I literally just went, wanted to die. It was so good. It was so good. I was the first one the second it happened. I was just like, don't do it. It's a beautiful, sensitive moment. Don't do it.
No. And he said it with such feeling too. I was like, that's gonna make it even worse.
I know, that's what made it so bad. I was just like,
it's so funny.
Well, but
Jolene.
Well, the thing is, Tory, though, again, I've known you for 5 minutes, but it's so clear that I love what you said. You're like, I was a kid. It was just my life. And like, you survived, and that you clearly thrived. But we all know, like, basically you weren't a victim. I feel like knowing you for this short time, I'm like, oh, you are that personality that just refuses to be a victim. And we all know those people who are defined by their tragedy and their pain, and then for whatever, they just can't seem to let it go. And it's just always so inspiring to me to meet somebody who's like the opposite of that. Well, I didn't know. Shit, I guess I did have a rough childhood. That's me is a magical thing. So thank you for sharing that.
God, thank you so much. I am a victim to student loans. That shit, I'm still paying.
I mean, there's only so much you can stay positive about in your life.
Freaking student loans. God, go away.
I get you.
Well, one thing that we haven't talked about that I do want to talk about before we wrap up, and I don't know if I should talk about it or if I should just show evidence of it. Maybe I'll introduce it by saying Tory Smith is also somebody who can get down on the dance floor, if you know what I mean. I don't know if you can hear it. I mean, you were censored. You were full on censored. Like, they censored you. So bad.
I wanted to say everyone should be watching Hulu's The Great. Because it's amazing.
Hulu's the great. Okay.
Hulu's. No, not who is the great. Hulu's the great, not who is the great.
Oh, thank you. I would have been searching the incorrect thing.
Tory, I mean, we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to us today, so openly, so candidly, so just
absolutely
amazing.
Yeah.
I love this. I think more open and calm discussions need to be made right now. So I thank you guys for inviting me.
Oh man, truly our good fortune that you were A, available, and B, willing to do this. I mean, is there anything else that we didn't ask you about, or anything? I mean, you're here. Anything else you want to say?
No. I think I sort of, I said what I wanted to say. I think I'm going to continue to just really find that peace and solace within myself, and do what I can as of now within the safety of my home, because I would like to be home in the midst of the pandemic to end this this, in a sense, this plague of systematic racism, which is sort of at the forefront right now, and of human decency. Yeah.
I'm with you. If only we could get develop a vaccine for that, right?
Girl.
Yeah. Well, Tory, thank you so much again for joining us. If you are not, please follow Tory at Tory Devon Smith on Instagram, on TikTok. Do not miss out on everything that he has to offer.
You guys saw it. You saw. That's why I held it up so you could see what you were missing out on. Just don't miss out anymore. Go fix it.
Yeah. Do not miss out. Tory, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you guys. Bye.
All right. So, Jolene, thank you so much again for jumping on this today.
Oh my goodness.
I love, that we had this conversation. I love that you and Tory and I have just
in the Venn diagram of people, it's like we all found a space that when I saw that on IMDb, I was like, oh my God, if there's a chance to ask him about that on live, because I was like, no way. I mean, what are the odds? But we defied the odds a lot, I guess. I don't know. That's just what you say when you're like, wow, that's really, that was awesome though. And thank you for having him on. That was great.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm so happy that he was on. And again, I meant it wholeheartedly when I said anytime I talk to him, I'm just like, my inspiration in arts and really everything is renewed.
Yeah, and I totally see that. And I actually, I mean, now that we're at the end of this episode, I think that was just perfect for right now. And I wish everybody could hear Tory speak on that stuff.
We'll do our best. Well, thank you so much for joining us from wherever you're joining us. Thank you for watching. Hope you really enjoyed the conversation with Tory. Please follow him. You can follow us as well. But most importantly, in this day and age, please take the time to look for ways that you can give back and help promote. I'll be adding some links into the description of this of places you can donate to different causes that are helping protesters and Black Lives Matter and other ways that we can help. If you're going to protest peacefully in a way that is keeping you safe and the health of those around you. It is really important to be active because silence is complicit. That being said, do it in a way that you can keep yourself safe and those around you safe because we are in the midst of a global pandemic. So just, keep that in mind. There are definitely ways to do that and give back and stay active. It doesn't mean that because there's a virus, you should be terrified and not, care about a hugely impactful and important, and not just that, but pressing, urgent matter. Long
Yeah.
overdue, if you will. Not just urgent,
Yeah.
just fucking long overdue.
Yeah, absolutely. So love yourselves, love each other, don't take shit from anybody. But everything that Luis said, listen to, oh, you're on the other side. Wait. Damn it. Wow, that was so smooth of me. Great.
You're great. You're great. Thank you again so much, everyone, for joining. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah.